Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the PMP Credential Review and Q&A, sponsored by UC Agile, presented by me, Professor Kevin Reilly. A short little session to give you some overview about the PMP exam, what to expect when you sit for the exam, a little history on PMI Global. Let's take a look at the agenda. So we'll be looking at PMI Global, an introduction to what PMI Global is. PMI is the Project Management Institute. Then we'll be looking at current and future demand for PMPs, which is really high. It's really bright. I would say it's brilliant, actually. About the PMP exam and credential, PMP continuing certification requirements or CCRs, and then some final Q&A. So let's get to it. By the way, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat, and periodically I will be checking the chat for those questions so I can answer them, okay? All right, let's get to it. So PMI Global Overview. What is PMI? So the Project Management Institute, PMI, is an association dedicated to training project managers and other project professionals to help them succeed in their project-driven industries. And by the way, project management can be used for any type of industry. Obviously, it started with the construction industry. You think about all the pyramids and the Taj Mahal and all those other structures that were built long ago. Those were projects and they had to be followed. It also provides resources for project managers around the world to enhance their project management skills. It was started in 1982 and has been the world's leading authority on everything project management. Then staying current with evolving technology trends keeps project management professionals aware of the expanding role of technology and how it may impact their careers in the future. Okay. And then by following PMP and PMI best practices and principles, you can ensure that the project you execute for your company currently and in the future will remain ahead of the curve with the knowledge that you need to execute your project successfully. So let's talk about the current and future demands for PMPs, which I said was very bright, is very bright. So the future of outlook for PMP certification holders is very bright. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, this was back in 2024. They did a research survey study. New project management roles are expected to grow by 24 million by 2028 globally. So project management as a discipline is alive and well. Setting yourself apart from the crowd with a PMP certification will become all the more important. The PMP, Project Management Professional, which is the certification, is widely recognized as the top project management certification on the planet and will definitely help you improve your knowledge and advance your career. And remember, the PMP is not just a certification, it's a credential. So I like to call it the CPA for project managers. Now, I don't know if you've ever taken the CPA exam. I have not, but what I've heard is very difficult. There's a lot of studying involved, a very difficult exam, and there's a lot of knowledge that you need to know. Well, the PMP, the project management professional, is similar to that. All right. Well, a lot of people, well, some of the organizations out there, I call them fly-by-night organizations, training organizations. They tell you you can take a 4-day boot camp for the PMP, and then you can actually pass the exam the next day. That is absolutely not true. Taking a PMP 4-day course, a boot camp, exam prep course is the beginning of your studies, not the end. Okay. So CPA for project managers, they're very difficult. In terms of salaries, definitely wide open also. So according to Pay Scale, this is also a research study, a survey that was done for project management companies. Project managers can expect to earn a minimum of US $72,000 per year and as high as $142,000 per year in some areas. Okay, the average yearly compensation for a senior project manager in the US is US $124,496 as of October 2025. Now, you're probably saying, okay, that sounds good, Professor Kevin, but can anybody guarantee this? No, we cannot guarantee this. So another survey indicated that if you are a project manager working in an organization currently and do not have your PMP credential and you get your credential, your salary will increase by 25% on average. But this is not guaranteed. There's no way that we can guarantee a salary. But with the PMP, you will be better suited for an increase in pay and also taking on more complex projects. Okay, so we said that the PMP exam is and the PMP project management professional is a credential. Let's talk more specifically about what this credential is all about. So, what is the PMP credential? Importantly, having one or more project management certifications can help you in your career, and the PMP is absolutely no exception. The PMP credential is a global project management certification hosted by the Project Management Institute and is considered the worldwide gold standard of project management certifications. If you want to sharpen your project management skills and be able to demonstrate them to your employers, then the PMP credential is for you. Okay, make sure I'm going here. Yeah. Okay. What is the PMP credential? So, more information about that. It's for project managers with enough experience to demonstrate the following requirements. Number one, you can perform your duties under general supervision and are accountable for project management aspects of the project. Now, what PMI used to say is you have to be the project manager for the beginning of the project to the end of the project and involved in all details of the project. That is softened a bit, and we're just looking at project management activities that you're performing on your projects. Also, requirement you can direct and lead cross functional teams and execute projects while meeting schedule, budget, scope, resource, risk, and quality constraints. So there are a lot of things in this particular bullet. Cross-functional teams is where a team member, such as a software developer, you might have a senior software developer whose expertise is in software development, but they can also help in other areas, such as running automated testing at the end of each day. So they're cross-functional because of the fact that they have expertise in one particular area, which is the depth of experience, but they also can help out in other areas of the project, which is the breadth of experience, BREADTH. Okay. Meeting scope, schedule, budget, scope, risk, resource, and quality constraints. These are the six major competing constraints that exist on any project, and you have to be able to master those and have the actual experience in doing that. You can demonstrate sufficient experience and knowledge to appropriately apply project management principles and best practices to those projects that have well-defined requirements and deliverables. Okay. So there are a couple of different types of development approaches. The one you're probably most familiar with is the predictive approach, also known as waterfall or traditional project management. And the perfect example of that is a construction project. So, regardless of the structure that you're actually building as part of the project, you go through specific steps that are repeated regardless of what you're building. So, what do we do? First of all, we buy the land. Then we have to get a permit to build on the land. Then we actually grade the plot. We lay down the foundation and wait 3 days for the foundation to cure. Then we frame the house. We put in electrical and plumbing. We put up sheetrock and windows. We paint the house, and then we do the final putting in windows and the final landscaping. So you see, in predictive projects, these are projects that have very specific list of things to do, steps to do that, which don't really change. We also call them predictive because of the fact that we're predicting or planning everything up front for these projects in very specific detail. All it's front loaded, and that's why it's called predictive. Okay. Also, you can demonstrate sufficient experience and knowledge to appropriately apply those project management principles and best practices to those well-defined requirements and deliverables. Okay. Okay. Also, you can demonstrate sufficient experience and knowledge to appropriately apply those project management principles and best practices to those well-defined requirements and deliverables. Okay. All right, looks like we have a question in the chat, Josh. Josh asked, you was talking about the different types of development approaches. What other types of development approaches are there? Good question, Josh. So basically, in project management, there are three different development approaches. You have the predictive, which I just talked about, and that's waterfall and traditional. Then you have something called adaptive or agile. For these projects, these are for very complex projects and also for projects where you're delivering a brand new product, service, or result into the market or for the customer. So we don't know what the actual requirements are up front. We don't know what the scope is. So as we go through the project itself, the customer is going to indicate what specific requirements and scope are most important at that specific time throughout the agile or adaptive project. And then we build upon that as we go through. So rather than planning everything up front, like in predictive, we plan as we go along in adaptive and agile. And of course, the most popular method under the agile umbrella of methods is Scrum. Then, if you have a hybrid, is any combination of best practices and principles from predictive, adaptive, and those are hybrid projects where you use the best practices and principles from both of those development approaches. Those are referred to as hybrid development approaches. Okay, good question, Josh. Thank you for that. All right. So, what are the benefits of earning your PMP? There are quite a few, actually. One of the benefits of earning a PMP is that it will put you in touch with other high powered project managers. This can have a very significant impact on your path of your career because you'll be able to take advantage of this expanded network to help you both on your current projects and also your future projects and career advancement in project management. And then potential partners and clients will have much greater confidence in your ability to reliably deliver top quality project results. All right. So one of the other benefits or list of benefits that we have, passing the PMP exam requires a comprehensive knowledge of project management, principles, and best practices and can help improve project performance. A PMP credential can be one of the greatest ways for your manager to validate your project management knowledge and experience. And for many project management roles, holding the PMP credential is a prerequisite for hiring and advancement of project managers. Let me check the chat real quick. Okay, so Sarah just has a comment. Sarah indicated that she had gotten a certification from PMI, the PMP certification, the credential. And before she got the credential, first of all, her company paid for it, which is nice, taking the exam and doing a boot camp. So after she got the credential, the PMP, and she put that after her name in her resume and on her LinkedIn profile, she actually got an 18% raise based on that. Okay. So that's a real life example of how important it is to have your PMP. Okay. Any questions? Any other questions about what we've covered so far? Okay. Now let's talk about sitting for the exam. So, what do you need to do? All right. Let's talk about it. In 2021, the seventh edition came out from PMI, and this exam contains 180 questions that cover three domains, which are process, people, and business environment. Okay. Now, what process refers to is those are the day to day operations that you and your development team members are doing on a daily basis on your projects. Okay. So that's referred to as process. The exam will contain a combination of multiple choice, multiple response, matching, hotspot, and fill in the blank. Note there will be a mandatory 10-minute break after the time runs out of the current 60 question group. And unfortunately, you cannot go back to the previous 60 question group. The latest version of the PMP exam has more scenario based questions, and we'll look at the different types of questions that they have that differ from previous versions of the PMP exam, some of which could also include animations to best test the flexibility and soft skills of aspirants. So, like I said before, 50% of the questions will be process, what you do on a daily basis on your projects. 42% will be people. So, this is the communication, the collaboration, the coordination, and the engagement of all of your stakeholders, especially your development team and your sponsor, and of course, your customer. And then the business environment refers to how understanding as a project manager, how your project fits into the overall strategy of the organization, and also what affects the organization and or external factors such as marketplace conditions, global economy, etc., will affect your project. Now, let's look at these in a little more detail: process, people, and business environment. Okay, so a project manager's job is forever progressing. The new PMP exam is definitely a clear reflection of that, which changing occupational demands, and will focus on three primary domains. So these are referred to as domains. The first domain is people. This is 42% of the exam questions. This domain evaluates a candidate's leadership of their project team. A sample of tasks evaluated can include building, leading a team, managing conflict, ensuring adequate team training. Again, these are just examples. They are no by no means exhaustive. Okay, so that's people, 42%. Then we have process, 50% of the exam questions. This domain evaluates the stage in the process where professionals evaluate the technical aspects of project management. A few process tasks on the PMP exam include planning and managing budget and resources, integrating project planning activities, and managing project changes. Okay. Once again, by no means an exhaustive list or examples. And process is 50% of the exam questions. And then lastly, we have the business environment. This is 8% of the exam questions. This domain tests a project manager's ability to adhere to organizational requirements. Some sample tasks include planning and managing project compliance, ensuring the benefits and value of project deliverables, and supporting organizational change. Once again, not exhaustive. And then business environment is 8% of the questions on the exam. Okay. So, what are some additional notes about the PMP? Candidates will need to be familiar with three publications from PMI. And as a member of PMI, you can download these for free in PDF format. They will need to download or purchase on Amazon Process Groups, a practice guide, the Agile practice guide, which contains all of the Agile material on the PMP exam, and then the latest edition of the PMBOK guide, which is the 7th edition. Now, note, although you don't have to be a member of PMI Global to sit for the PMP, it is highly recommended. All of the above publications are downloadable for free, and you will receive a $270 discount off the cost to sit for the exam. That means the fee will be $425 as compared to $695. Now, again, you don't have to be a member of PMI to sit for the exam. The first thing you will do is create an account on PMI, and then you'll have to pay your membership fee, which I think right now are $139 for your first year. So that's part of that. So it's very important to be a member because there are a lot more benefits, and we'll be looking at some more. A wider breadth of study to cover everything will have to be performed by candidates because there's a lot more to know and master. Subtle hint or not so subtle, take a boot camp. Okay, highly recommend that. Okay, so let's look at some more exam notes. Exam questions will come from predictive, adaptive, and hybrid methodologies. So, in addition to breaking down each PMP exam by people domain, process domain, and business environment domain, there is a distribution of predictive, adaptive, and hybrid methodology questions on the exam. 50% of the questions in the new PMP exam will be predictive questions. 23% will be pure agile, and 27% will be a hybrid a combination of both predictive and agile. Okay, so when the new exam, if you look at it, 50% of the questions will be predictive. The remaining 50% of the questions will be adaptive and agile. So agile is a big part of your PMP studies and will be a big part of the actual exam. This differs slightly from the old exam in that the percentage of such questions is comparatively higher than it used to be. Keep this in mind when studying for the PMP. And then the last distribution of questions, 30% will be easy, 40% will be medium difficulty, and the remaining 30% will be difficult questions. Okay. So that's kind of a breakdown of the exam and the questions and a little bit about PMI Global. Once you receive your PMP credential, you have to get what we call PDUs, which are professional development units. So if you're familiar with the Scrum Alliance, if you're a CSM or a CSPO, certified Scrum Master, or certified Scrum Product Owner, you have to get these SEUs, which are Scrum Education Units. For the PMP and other certifications from PMI, we refer to these as PDUs, Professional Development Units. So they have a CCR program, continuing certification requirements. Let's get into some of the details. First of all, to ensure project management professionals stay competitive and relevant in the profession, PMI developed the Continuing Certification Requirements Program, also known as the CCR program. This program outlines the professional development units, or PDUs, that PMP professionals must earn to maintain their credential. In order to maintain your credential, the CCR program requires you to complete 60 PDUs in every 3-year cycle. Now, a lot of times, what students ask me is, how do you get these PDUs? So these PDU requirements are grouped into 3 categories. Those are ways of working, power skills, and business acumen. And they actually represent what's something referred to as the PMI talent triangle. Okay. Let's get a little more information about that. And from Annette, I have a question. Can you give examples of how to actually gain PDUs during your 3-year cycle? Yes, and I'll give some examples in the next slide, actually. Thank you. Okay, so there are a lot of ways to earn PDUs in education, including on-site, on-demand, and distance learning courses offered by PMI, Project Management Institute, or its affiliates. When you join PMI Global, you will have access to a lot of material on the actual exam and also for your PDUs. There are a lot of free PDUs. Okay, so for example, you can participate in self-study, excuse me, through colleges and universities, educational meetings hosted by professional organizations such as PMI chapters, educational webinars, read scholarly articles, or have structured discussions with colleagues. So the best way to get PDUs is to actually attend webinars about project management. And again, not only about predictive project management, but also adaptive or agile project management. So for example, I belong to something in San Diego called Agile Coffee. And once a month, we get together for an hour and we talk about agile topics. And then I can actually claim 1 PDU for that particular meeting, which is strictly agile. Another way to do that is to actually attend PMI chapter events, okay? And by the way, speaking of the PMI chapters, I highly recommend that you become a member of your local PMI chapter. I also highly recommend that you become a volunteer because of the fact when you volunteer for a PMI chapter, you get 8 PDUs per year. The other thing you can do is just get PDUs for performing your activities on your projects. Okay. So there are a lot of different ways of doing that. And there is a specific document that's available on the PMI website, which is www.pmi.org for other types of things. Okay. And then if you're looking at different boot camps, there are organizations that offer approved training on the PMI website also. But of course, this is sponsored by UC Agile. So, of course, I'm going to do some shameless self promotion about our 4-day boot camp, which is coming up on April 14th. Okay. Any other questions on what we covered? Okay. There's a question from Carl. So Carl asked in the chat, um, what type of things can we use for our study plans? So UC Agile, and as part of this course, after this course, I'll be sending you several different files. First of all, I'll be sending you a two-page PDF, two pages per sheet PDF of this actual presentation. I will be sending you a recording of the presentation. I'll be sending you a summary of the presentation. And then there'll also be additional study files, which include things like videos that you can watch, different types of links. So the interesting thing about the PMI website, when you want to find something on the PMI website, I say Google it. There is so much information on there. So what I've done for all my students, and as part of these types of webinars that I give, is make available specific links to different information on the PMI.org website for PMP, and that'll give you a lot more information, and you won't have to search that on Google. So great questions, everyone. Fantastic. So are there any burning questions, or are we good? Okay, looks like we're good. All right, so let's move on. Our last slide is going to talk about with that the fact that the seventh edition of the PMP exam ends on July 8th of this year, which means after July 8th, you cannot sit for the seventh edition of the exam. The next UC Agile PMP exam prep boot camp online course I will be teaching will be from Tuesday, April 14th, 2026, until Friday, April 17th. That'll be from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. So it'll be 9 hours long. You'll get an hour lunch and you get 10-minute breaks every hour. And this will provide instructor led education contact hours and the number needed for the application, and that's 35 hours. Okay. So 4 all-day trainings to help you meet your goals quickly, a verifiable digital credential, and printable PDF certificate of completion for the course. Satisfies, again, the 35 contact/education hours requirement for a PMP application, and then 35 PDUs for those who already have a PMP credential. So a good way to get PDUs, if you already have your PMP, is sit for a boot camp. That'll give you the latest information on project management, and you'll be able to claim 35 PDUs for those. Again, PDUs are those professional development units. So again, the last day to take the seventh edition exam is on July 8th, starting on July 9th. It will be the eighth edition, which the PMBOK guide, the Project Management Body of Knowledge, came out last year at our global summit, PMI Global Summit in Phoenix. And the updated materials from PMI will be available soon that we'll be doing. So we'll be switching over all my clients, all my universities, all of my government agencies that I teach for, will be switching over to the eighth edition after this particular this course coming up on the 14th. Okay. All right. So if there are no more questions, thank you all for attending. You can look forward to getting a link to a Dropbox that has all the information and files that I was talking about. That'll probably be tomorrow because there's a lot of things I have to get together to do that. So if there are no more questions, thank you all for attending this session. And I never say good luck on passing a PMP exam or any exam. I say happy studying because luck has nothing to do with passing the PMP. It's hard work and diligence. So thanks, everyone. Have a great evening and happy studying.